I wrote in your notes what I call a biblical perspective on persecution of believers. You know what it says in 2 Timothy 3:12? Yea, all that are godly in Christ Jesus will suffer persecution. So it's part of the plan that we're going to suffer. So persecution is inevitable. That's what Jesus said in the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew 5. Second, we're called to participate in the sufferings of Christ. That's what it says in Acts 5:41. And God promises wonderful treasures to those that face persecution. My wife and I, after we get done teaching in New York, and then we teach in Greece, and then we do Turkey, and then the next one we do is a church history class, and we're actually tracing the life of the great reformers and people in the United Kingdom. And one of them is John Bunyan, that wrote what? There you go. The most widely read book and the most widely printed book next to the Bible in the history of the world. For 200 years it's been in print, and hundreds and hundreds of millions of copies. But John Bunyan wrote that in prison. He was in prison for Christ, and his wife and his blind daughter and his other children were nearly starving to death while he was suffering in jail. And you know what he writes about? What Isaiah 57 says, there are wonderful treasures to those who face persecution. Fourthly, God uses persecution for his purpose. You know what Acts chapter 8 says? When Paul was persecuting the church, he drove all the believers out of Jerusalem. And you know what the scriptures say in Acts 8 verse 4? And they that were persecuted went everywhere preaching the gospel. What happened is when they were in Jerusalem, the Christians were all just concentrated in Jerusalem, thousands of them. And nobody was going on missions trips. But when God sent persecution, they were driven out of town, and it spread the gospel to the ends of the world. And that was really when the gospel just started going global, is after the persecution started. So there's great purpose. And fifthly, God says the proper response in the face of persecution is that we cause people to glorify God when they see our good works. The Roman Emperor, Diocletian, when he was doing his systematic killing, why he retired as emperor was he couldn't extinguish the church. He would send legionnaires out to go and basically what they did back then in the Roman province of Asia, they would line the people up on the edge of the cliffs, and they would say, either renounce Christ or we're going to push you over the edge to your death. You're going to fall down and hit the rocks and crash and die. And they wouldn't. And the Roman legionnaires were pushing these people that were singing, that were sharing the gospel with them, that were praying, that had radiant smiles. And they say, you might push me over the edge and my body will be crushed, but I will go to be with the Lord, which is far better. And after doing that all day long, legionnaires started saying to the people in the line, before I push you over, how did you get to be this happy? Why are you not afraid? And they started leading the soldiers to Christ. And the emperor found he was losing more soldiers than it was worth, so he just retired. He went to Croatia or Dubrovnik or wherever he lived. And that was the proper response.